Hello, my name is Declan Kavanagh, and today I'm going to talk about the human-robot relationship in an organization. The objective of the presentation is to share some knowledge and experience that may help you as you make your decisions as regards automation for your organization. Let's look at what we'll cover. In the first section, we'll cover our relationship with machines, how management science can help us develop these relationships, and in the final section, improving work through robotics and automation. Just a little background on who we are. The Organization Development Tools Institute is focused on research, knowledge, and tools to improve organization change and transformation. Change program failure rates are in excess of 70% according to most analysts. Next generation tools and techniques reduce these failure rates. My own background is as an engineer originally, and I've worked in entrepreneurial startups and multinational corporations in the technology sector, many years in the area of equipment engineering, automation, and manufacturing, and I've led several significant organization transformations. Dr. Miles Sweeney is our expert in organization psychology and change. He leads both the academic and the applied research and is the author of Dynamic Systems Maturity Theory. Our innovation partners are Enterprise Ireland and DCU. Machines have changed how people live and work since the 18th century through the industrial revolutions, largely for the benefit of society. Digital machines have impacted our lives since the 1970s, the third industrial revolution, or the information age. Many organizations, the third industrial revolution is impacting still, even as the fourth industrial revolution gets underway. The fourth industrial revolution can be seen as an evolution of the information age, adding the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality as some examples. It is, however, different and disruptive in that it sees a fusion between the physical, digital, and biological worlds. So our world of work is and will continue to change as a result of technology and new machines. This presents both challenges and opportunities for organizations. Thomas Malone, the director of the MIT Center for Collective Intelligence, in a recently widely publicized paper, draws our attention to some important points. Most human accomplishments have and are achieved through groups of people working together, and rarely by lone individuals. So we should start with human groups and then use technologies to do the things that they do better than humans for the benefit of the overall group. Let's look at where humans are stronger than machines. General intelligence, for example. Humans are dealing with a wide range of goals and situations as they arise, whereas machines tend to be good when they have a focused and specialized purpose. Social intelligence. People are strong when it comes to relationships, emotions, and interactions in communications. And people are strong in physical intelligence. People can deal with complicated and unpredictable physical environments. And we use the example of the plumber when he arrives at a situation, he has to assess the environment before he can plan what action to take and how to take it. Robots are strong when the work is dull, dangerous, and difficult. Machines can play different roles when it comes to their relationships with humans. Let us look at the four primary roles. The first one being tools. In effect, machines doing what they're told and nothing else. For example, a spreadsheet. The second role is as assistants, where they have some level of task autonomy. This tends to happen where they can do work faster, better, or cheaper than a person. The third example is peers, where machines have the ability to predict the next action, likely better than humans, and often where the volume and variety of information is high. Financial trading is based on algorithms is a good example of this. And finally, as managers, where they can determine the sequence of tasks based on scenarios that arise and who would take the action. A good example of this might be traffic management. Let's look at some considerations that influence dynamic systems maturity theory. The organization is a socio-economic system fulfilling a need in the macro environment. System views of the organization, one where people support the functionality of the technology, and the other where the technology supports the functionality of the people. Both, of course, must support the functionality of the organization. Looking at maturity views, one where the approach to the introduction of technology reflects the functioning level or learning level of the organization, and one where the introduction of the technology advances the functioning or learning level of the organization. Both must, of course, support the advancement of the organization. Capability maturity management simplifies the process of achievement of the organization change. Capability management is the ability to mobilize resources to achieve an aim. Its power is to measure the level of ability, to simplify all the interdependent variables associated with tasks, activities, and processes, to identify relevant priorities for improvement, and to calibrate those actions for improvement while developing the maturity levels. Existing capability maturity determines existing performance and rate of change, which is in effect agility. New or improved capabilities lead to performance improvement and greater agility and ambition. The key is knowing where to focus your organization's aims and context. There are 7 levels of maturity within an organization system, sometimes referred to as functioning levels because they reflect the functioning practices and outcomes of a level, or sometimes called a learning level because they reflect existing competence and ability to learn. Building maturity is a sequential process where each stage builds on the previous stage and sets up for the subsequent stage. Higher maturity levels have self-learning ability in that they can take on board new learning. Lower maturity levels require greater direction and support to take on board new learning. The guided actions for improvement will depend on the measured maturity level. This slide is to highlight that technology change is more than managing complex technology change. It's a much larger organization development initiative. If significant technology-enabled change impacts products and services, as well as processes, business, or operating models, there is likely to be a significant transformation. In these scenarios, the process may often start before the destination is known. Transitional changes, though they may be significant, will tend to have a narrower scope and replace an existing way of operation with a known but different way. In this simple model, we can understand the nature of change for a specific organization context. If we map the people dimension of capability maturities against the management dimension of maturities, leaders can identify an appropriate bias for development. For example, where people and management maturity is low, the focus should be on organization development. When people and management maturities are high, then we're in a position to exploit technology and ecosystems. In the scenario where people maturity is high and management maturity is low, then we focus on management development. And in the scenario where people maturity is low but management maturity is high, then we must focus on personal and people development. These are not mutually exclusive. They are a quick reference as the appropriate priorities to give to development items. We now look at work, jobs, roles, and what is important when introducing robotics and automation. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, sometimes known as VUCA, for an organization and for individuals, may be caused by the introduction of new technology. But new technology may also be the solution to VUCA. Technology is complex and it requires specialist skills for design, selection, and use. Some of these may need to be acquired externally, or some transferred or developed internally. Though it is central to introducing robotics and automation, we must remember it's just one strand of the development and change that needs to be managed in an organization. Data and information assets change and grow when new technology and automation is introduced. Though it can add complexity, it also creates new opportunities for products and services and performance improvements. Both the technical and operational aspects of data management and exploitation are components of change to be addressed. It is here that the human-machine relationship often needs careful attention. Who does what at this time? The work people and teams do and how it's structured changes with the introduction of new technologies and machines. Work is a mental or physical activity. It's what people do. The maturity levels of the work building blocks or constructs is a critical success factor for any organization. What we are concerned about in today's discussion is the impact of robotics on the work of individuals and teams, and designing work and roles that support the business and operational goals for robotics and automation, while engaging teams and individuals in the changes. Let's now look at the building blocks which we use to inform job role, team, and career path design when we introduce new technologies. These are the constructs of the work dynamic. Firstly, we have work feedback, the provision, receipt, and reaction to information in the form of feedback. Work identity, how meaningful is it recognized for an individual doing the work? Work integration, the impact it has on others in and outside the workflow. Work resourcing, how work is resourced for the benefit of all stakeholders. Work significance, the actual or perceived significance of work to an individual, team, unit, or organization overall. And finally, work variety, the value put on the mix of tasks, activities, and skills required in the work. In the process of introducing robotics and automation, individuals and teams must not perceive a reduction in the maturity of these constructs or building blocks. In fact, there is an opportunity to enhance these during both the design and implementation phases, reducing VUCA for them. We can measure through online assessment the normative maturity level of the work dynamic and its constructs for existing organization and its roles. This input can inform the new role design and the process and actions that reflect the changes and calibrate improvement actions. Work is one of 15 key organization dynamics from the Organization Capability Maturity Reference Model. The body of knowledge and assessment tool is accessible on www.orgcmf.com. Summary: the key considerations for the relationships between humans and robots when it comes to work are as follows. It impacts many roles and many teams and many jobs. It brings challenge and opportunity of new tasks, new activities, new skills, roles, and structures. The fourth industrial revolution brings even more complexity, but also enrichment opportunity. It can free up existing talent, which can be repurposed to support the new environment. And it can have an energizing effect on the people with the appropriate management support. The relationship between the human and robot is nothing to fear. It should be embraced by design and implementation of new work, leveraging the capability maturity framework to support the process. Questions or observations?